Het is voor mij een eer en een genoegen u van harte welkom te heten in dit prestigieuze concertgebouw en in deze mooie stad. In spite of all the rain this evening, it's a very beautiful city, and the college is very proud to have its seat here in Bruges. Je vais reprendre la tradition du collège et de faire l'éloge du patron de promotion, Voltaire. Parler de Voltaire, c'est parler d'un personnage à la fois mondialement connu et en même temps assez inclassable. Philosophe, esprit libertin, défenseur des droits de l'homme, critique de l'Église, romancier, poète, dramaturge, littéraire, historien. Il y a bon nombre de qualifications qui ont été attribuées, et chacune de ces qualifications ne couvre qu'une infime partie du profil intellectuel de notre personnage. Voltaire a été tout cela et encore beaucoup plus. L'immense diversité de son œuvre, de ses activités intellectuelles, peut donner le vertige. Des centaines de tracts littéraires, philosophiques et politiques, des dizaines de contes et de romans, des centaines de poèmes, plus d'une cinquantaine de pièces de théâtre et une correspondance épistolaire vraiment très impressionnante. Il y a plus de 20 000 lettres répertoriées. Il y a des biographes qui estiment qu'en total, le nombre de lettres pourrait atteindre 40 000. Beaucoup, naturellement, se sont perdus. On imagine mal l'étendue de cette œuvre tenir cette vie, pourtant déjà assez longue. Une vie qui a amené Voltaire jusqu'à l'âge de 84 ans. Et cette étendue de l'apogée du règne de Louis XIV jusqu'à l'époque de la guerre d'indépendance américaine et des signes annonciateurs de la Révolution française. Voltaire s'est créé un réseau vraiment européen de connaissances et d'amis, entretenus par de longs voyages, cette activité épistolaire que j'ai déjà mentionnée, activité épistolaire journalière, une grande générosité également à recevoir des hôtes dans son château de Ferney, proche de Genève. Cette générosité de recevoir des hôtes lui a valu le titre de l'aubergiste de l'Europe, un titre assez répandu à l'époque, puisqu'il a reçu à Ferney des Européens de tous les pays, du plus jeune et plus humble littéraire aux plus hauts représentants de la noblesse de l'époque. Tous voulaient bénéficier de la chance d'avoir une expérience personnelle et directe avec celui qui était largement considéré comme l'esprit le plus brillant de son époque. Malgré la prédominance du français en Europe à son époque, Voltaire a aussi fait l'effort, et il faut l'apprécier, d'apprendre de converser ou d'écrire en anglais, italien et latin. Il est assez peu connu, par exemple, qu'il parlait couramment l'anglais, ce qui me fait penser qu'il aurait sans doute apprécié notre double régime linguistique au collège, français et anglais. Et pourtant, il lui restait encore l'énergie et le temps de devenir, ce qui est un peu moins connu, un homme d'affaires prodigieux qui, à travers des investissements dans le commerce maritime, les fournitures des armées et les créances de plusieurs princes français et allemands, a amassé une véritable fortune, une fortune qui lui a assuré une indépendance très importante des faveurs royales. Les biographes ont souvent retenu l'image d'un Voltaire au milieu des cercles de gens cultivés dans son temps, déployant la vivacité de son esprit critique, de sa conversation brillante et de son sens de l'ironie, une ironie assez souvent mordante, il faut le dire, dans des hôtels particuliers et des châteaux d'une grande élégance. Il est bien connu également que Voltaire, personnellement, appréciait beaucoup les plaisirs des tables raffinées. Il savait vivre, notre patron de promotion. Mais il n'a pas eu la vie toujours facile. Son père ne lui pardonna pas d'avoir renoncé à une brillante carrière d'avocat, de haut fonctionnaire ou de diplomate au profit de celle de pauvre réputation, d'un littéraire en quête d'une liberté au-delà des carcans d'une vie plus respectable, entre guillemets. Le jeune Voltaire a dû se définir dans une large partie contre sa propre famille, et le choix de son pseudonyme de Voltaire est un indicateur. Il a choisi le nom de Voltaire, qui est probablement un anagramme, pour remplacer celui de sa famille Arouet. Alors là, il a dû se créer une propre identité, il l'a fait. Très tôt déjà, les autorités, l'État et l'Église n'appréciaient guère son esprit critique, ce qui lui a conduit à être enfermé à 2 reprises dans cette prison devenue très fameuse, la Bastille. Il a passé presque une année de sa vie dans la Bastille. À plus d'une reprise, son irrévérence intellectuelle lui a valu des humiliations. La plus blessante, il s'est senti blessé presque toute sa vie, était celle de 1726, quand le chevalier de Rohan-Chabot le fit bastonner à Paris, en pleine rue, par ses laquais, sans que le jeune Voltaire pouvait se rendre justice. Le système de l'époque ne le permettrait pas. Il a dû subir des humiliations dans sa vie. Ses longs voyages et séjours, surtout en Angleterre, en Allemagne et en Suisse, n'étaient parfois pas vraiment des voyages volontaires. Puisqu'à cause de ses écrits, il a assez souvent dû fuir le royaume de France ou d'autres royaumes. Il a également dû échapper à un certain moment de la Prusse, puisqu'il avait des tensions sérieuses avec Frédéric II. Et il a encore eu des dangers, puisqu'à cette époque, on risquait encore d'être roué ou brûlé pour des actes de blasphémie. Presque toute sa vie, cet homme qui, il est vrai, a toujours cherché la reconnaissance de ses amis, de la haute noblesse, des intellectuels de son temps, a dû publier une grande partie de ses œuvres sous notre nom, puisqu'il ne pouvait pas risquer de le publier sous son propre nom. Il a dû choisir des pseudonymes, des noms empruntés, un peu ici et là, et il a dû publier bon nombre de ses ouvrages à l'extérieur de la France, avec tous les risques de plagiat, de falsification et des éditions pirates qui résultaient de ces risques. Plus encore, c'était aussi un homme dont l'étonnante énergie, il avait une étonnante énergie, était perpétuellement en lutte avec d'innombrables maladies, dont certaines c'était sans doute d'origine psychosomatique, puisque c'était un homme sous une tension permanente. Tout effort d'écrire une vie aussi intense, multiforme et riche, dans un sens chronologique, sera nécessairement futile dans ce temps limite qu'on a à notre disposition ce soir. Et pour cette raison, je vais maintenant passer aux raisons pour lesquelles Voltaire a été choisi en tant que patron de promotion. Un patron de promotion au Collège d'Europe, je pense, doit remplir essentiellement 2 conditions. Premièrement, sa vie et son œuvre doivent avoir eu une importance et un rayonnement pan-européen. Mais deuxièmement, et ce n'est pas moins important que cette première condition, c'est que le patron de promotion doit aussi avoir montré des qualités à titre personnel qui, malgré le temps qui est passé, peuvent toujours servir, dans un certain sens, en tant que modèle pour vous, les étudiants du collège. Vous qui vous nourrissez des ambitions pour votre futur, et on s'est assuré au cours du processus de sélection que vous avez ces ambitions. Alors, il nous faut toujours choisir un patron de promotion qui peut également, dans plusieurs sens, servir un peu comme modèle. On pense que Voltaire est parfaitement à la hauteur de ces deux conditions, et ceci d'une manière unique, avec une combinaison très spéciale d'éléments d'importance européenne et de qualité personnelle. Let's first look at Voltaire's European importance and impact. Voltaire will always stand out as one of the greatest defenders of the individual against religious intolerance, arbitrary acts of state and religious authorities, and perverted justice which Europe has ever known. And he has been a defender of the individual against this at a time when it was not only personally dangerous, but also often enough appeared completely hopeless. After having taken position against religious fanaticism, intolerance, and perverted justice for many years already, through his philosophical, critical, and literary works, Voltaire started from 1761 onwards to actively try to help individual victims of intolerance and denial of justice. In many cases, he could not any longer help those victims who had their bones broken, their tongues cut out, their hands burned, and their heads cut off. But he waged, for the first time, real public campaigns in favor of these victims, through his writings, through his letters, by mobilizing influential friends, inside of France, but also outside of France. He waged these campaigns to have those victims at least posthumously rehabilitated, their families saved, and the injustice fully exposed. His action in legal affairs, such as those of Calas, Sirven, Labarre, Lally-Tollendal, Martin, and Montbailly, read today like an everlasting roll of Hannah, of the defense of the individual against the arbitrary powers of state and religious authorities. Now, this first reason, in terms of European impact of Voltaire, is closely related to the second. With Voltaire's action in favor of victims of the powers and beliefs in place, Voltaire became the first European publicly committed intellectual, le type de l'intellectuel engagé, who crossed the borderline between written ideas and action by waging real public campaigns against injustice of state and society. In doing so, he arguably created for the first time something like a public opinion about these injustices, not only in France, but also across borders in Europe. This public opinion, to which we are used today very much, at that time didn't exist. Voltaire contributed to create the force of public opinion as a counterweight to the powers of state and church. And through the mobilization of public opinion, he was able to, at least in some cases, ensure that justice was eventually restored. It is not by chance that many later European intellectuals, engaged European intellectuals, felt to be the inheritors of a Voltairean tradition. Prominent example being Jean-Paul Sartre, for instance. The fact that Voltaire became the model for a new type of engaged European intellectual is significant enough historically, but what is at least as striking is that it was already recognized at the time. When in 1770, a public subscription for a statue of Voltaire was opened in order to honor him already in his lifetime, in itself a very special initiative, subscriptions for this statue poured in from all over Europe, including from several crowned heads, from several British ministers, and even from some of Voltaire's intellectual enemies, such as Jean-Jacques Rousseau. When he returned to Paris in 1778, after many years of exile, to the city he loved most in the world, where he had not been able to live because of the difficulties I mentioned earlier, thousands turned up in the streets in Paris to see and applaud him as an intellectual who, through his commitments, had become a public presence, which some felt was rivaling the public presence of the French King Louis XVI. Some qualified him, therefore, as the Roi Voltaire, a unique feature in the time for an intellectual. Public recognition by this public opinion which he had helped to create. Last but not least, in terms of European impact, Voltaire has come to be regarded also as the most universal representative of the spirit of the Enlightenment. It is true that his dramatic work did not reach the depths of, for instance, the works of a Gotthold Ephraim Lessing, his political writings, not the lasting influence of a Montesquieu or Rousseau, and his philosophy certainly not the systematic depths of an Immanuel Kant. But no other writer of the Enlightenment moved with such an ease of style, so many sentences of penetrating incisiveness, and a unique capacity to make a synthetic use of the knowledge of the time between philosophical and political tracts, novels, dramatic works, poetry, and historical writings. If the European age of enlightenment stands still today for trying to free the human spirit from the bonds of prejudice and religious dogma and to make it benefit from all human knowledge available, then no one has embodied this in a more universal sense than Voltaire, in a single mind and in a single life. This does not mean that Voltaire was infallible. He was a son of the age of absolutism. He saw that tremendous power was in the hands of the rulers of the day. So he placed his hope in bringing the rulers to reason, to make them the agents of enlightenment. And in doing so, he sometimes misjudged the powers of the day. He placed an exaggerated and unjustified belief in Frederick II and Catherine II to actually spread freedom across Europe. This led him, for instance, to actually go as far as welcoming the first Polish partition, because he felt that Catherine II and Frederick II, as enlightened rulers, would bring light to the retrograde Polish commonwealths. He did not understand the freedom aspirations of these Polish commonwealths. So our patron has not been infallible. But even when he made these judgments, the intention was to help, via the support of those in power, the progress of reason and the spread of freedom of expression and the fight against injustices. But let us now move finally to Voltaire's qualities as a person, which we hope can still offer you, the students of the college, some elements of a model. First of all, Voltaire never ceased in his whole life to question existing knowledge, apparently existing truths taken as a given, or what was held to be good or bad by the powers and the opinions of the day, up to the very last few weeks of his life, when he was subject to excruciating pain because of prostate cancer, which was incurable in his time. He persisted in making up his own mind, using all available means of knowledge and testing the borderlines of the existing knowledge and beliefs. He never took anything just as a given. Everything was open to further questioning, revision, different approaches and wider forms of understanding. It is this quality of a fundamentally inquisitive mind which never stops questioning and trying to push the limits of understanding further, which made him one of the great protagonists of the European Age of Enlightenment and made him reach a rare degree of intellectual freedom in his time. Here's the first message from your patron to you, students of the college. Never cease to question things. Always try to move beyond of what is simply considered as a given, as this is a royal way to freedom and deeper understanding. This also applies to question what the professors of the college are teaching you, because this is part of our intellectual mission to actually stimulate you to question. Voltaire's constant questioning, critical thoughts, and public engagement required, I have already emphasized it, a lot of courage at a time when he faced serious personal risks because of this. But his courage was not limited to the struggles with the authorities of church and state. For 16 years, he had a relationship with one of the few female writers and scientists of his day, the Marquise Émilie du Châtelet, a married woman 12 years younger than him. Although a complacent husband allowed him and Émilie to live for several years, almost like a married couple, it was an often stormy relationship with quite a few betrayals and various crises. But, and here was a courage, Voltaire repeatedly and publicly made clear that he considered Émilie du Châtelet in every respect his intellectual equal and treated her as an intellectual equal. And this is a time when women could be treated with the utmost elegance and politeness, but were generally still held to be not able to properly reason in quotation marks. Not only did Voltaire, at a time when many considered him already as one of the greatest writers of his time, admit Émilie's influence on him, for instance, as regards the reception of the ideas of Newton, but when she became pregnant by another lover and eventually died in childbirth in 1749, he stayed with Émilie right to the end in circumstances which some felt were embarrassing for Voltaire and some felt exposed him to public ridicule. This surely required a different sort of courage. So here's a second message for you of the Promotion Voltaire. If you believe in someone, stand by her or him. If you believe in something, stand by it. It will give a different truth and sense to your life, as it did to Voltaire's life. And finally, Voltaire was also a man of real compassion, of deep compassion. And this compassion increased with his successes in the world. If you read his interventions in favor of the Callas, Servin, Lally Tollendal, and the others he fought for, you read compassion in every line. He had a real feeling for those who were denied justice, who were tortured and were the victims of the prejudices of the time. It was also out of a deep compassion for the victims of the 1755 Lisbon earthquake that he questioned in his famous poem sur le désastre de Lisbonne of 1756 the presumed fundamental goodness of the divine order. And it was compassion for the poor living conditions of the peasants on his own lands in the Pays de Gex which made him to put a lot of effort and money in improving housing conditions and roads, the construction of a school and a hospital, and the creation of more economic opportunities. So here is a third and final message to you, students of the Promotion, from your patron. Whatever heights of career and success you may reach, and certainly we at the college very much hope that you will reach these heights of career and success, never forget about those who are, in one way or the other, the victims of our world. Remain conscientious of the plight and the needs of those who live in the darker zones of our existence. Toutes ces considérations nous font penser, chers étudiants, que Voltaire est bien digne d'être votre patron de promotion. Il sera pour vous, pas seulement durant cette année d'études ici au collège, mais aussi dans vos vies et carrières futures, de prouver que vous êtes aussi digne d'appartenir à cette promotion Voltaire, d'être de vrais Voltairiens. Merci.